Hey, it's Amy, and today I wanted to share that a 2018 research study by Mandala Research found that African American travelers contributed $63 billion to the travel and tourism sector, and that is a whole lot of money. So today I'm talking to my friend Monique from Pushpin Adventures, and we're talking about Black travelers in the US and around the world and her experiences as a person of color in the travel industry. So enjoy. Hey, it's Amy from Epic Away, and I'm so excited. Today I am here with Monique from Pushpin Adventures. Hey, Monique.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. So right
Good,
now,
good.
lately in the news, there's been a lot of talk about the Black Lives Movement, and we've seen a lot of people talking about Black experiences. And I just thought that I really want to talk to you as a Black traveler and a Black travel advisor about your experiences, because I think it's really important to get these stories out there and to learn more about what different people's experiences are.
Sure,
So,
sure.
so
Thank you.
yeah, let me just start off by saying that I know that you take groups around a lot. That's kind of your focus. And can you just tell me about that first?
Sure. I started, I guess about maybe 3 years ago or so, kind of just doing my own thing, just traveling and kind of going places. And then I would get a lot of, emails from my friends are like, man, I wish I can go. And I wish I was there, but I didn't have anybody to go with. And so once I opened my agency, I decided, hey, as a branch, maybe, what I'll do is next time I go somewhere, I'll just extend an open invitation to see who wants to come with me. And so that's how it kind of started. It was open to anyone, co-ed. It ended up turning out to be girls trips because all ladies wanted to go. So the past 3 years I've had girls trips.
Okay, great. And then I noticed from your photos that I've seen on social media that you have these beautiful photos that you take with your entire group, and you guys are always dressed so colorfully, and it's like you and all of, a lot of Black ladies. And so
Mhm.
what I wanted to ask you was kind of about your experience traveling and around the US and also around the globe. So first, how about traveling in the US? Have you had any unique
Okay.
experiences?
Within the U.S., I personally have not. I tend to go to the larger metropolitan areas, so your bigger cities. So there's usually a good diversity, a good mix of cultures and things like that. So I haven't experienced anything there. I heard of friends who have gone to maybe rural areas or deep south, that type of thing, where they may have experienced some racism or some type of microaggressions down there. I tend to personally stay away from those areas just because I know if I'm not familiar with that area, if I don't know people that already live there, it's not really somewhere that I want to go.
Okay. So, and do you have any favorite cities where you've had just a really great experience that you've just been felt especially welcomed?
So my new city here in Houston, it's a good mix of people here. I like it here. Miami's another one. Lots of different cultures, different languages. Everyone's just chill. Everyone's there to have a good time. So there's a lot of good cities in the U.S. that's fun for minorities, for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Great. And so how about traveling outside of the US? How about overseas? And you've taken groups overseas, and have you had
Mhm.
any challenges or sort of things that you've had to overcome when you've traveled abroad?
Okay. Typically, when you travel abroad, and I can speak for myself. I haven't had any issues with any of the locals. So tourism is their business. That's their bread and butter. So most of the locals don't, want to mess that up. So I've always been welcomed, especially when I go to countries that I consider brown countries. So like when I went to the Maldives, to Fiji, pretty much the Caribbean, it's very welcoming. So I have not had any issues as far as the locals go. What I have had issues with is, and this usually it's not overt racism. It's more the microaggressions that I would get from other tourists, usually white American tourists in other countries. So I've had things where someone would question, like, ooh, should she be in first class? Like, how you stand in line and they're like, so we're calling up first class is next. And, as far as the sequence when they were boarding. And then I had a friend tell me once that she had an issue where someone pulled her to the side, like, no, they're calling for first class. And she's like, yeah, I know. Here's my ticket. Like, it's those type of microaggressions that we kind of get. There was once when I was in Italy and I was with a group, not my group. This was before I started my agency. And we were all kind of just sitting around and everyone's talking about stuff that's going on here. It's like, I really enjoyed that tour. Our tour guide is great. And what did you think of this and that? And the question that came to me was, where do you work? What do you do for a living? And it was more geared towards trying to understand how could I afford to even be on this trip. So it's those type of things that I've seen personally.
Judging a book by its cover and not really, just looking at appearances and kind of making your own stereotypical judgments without even knowing a person's background.
Exactly. But as far as the locals, though, it's a good time. I haven't had any issues at all.
No. And so as a travel advisor, I noticed that there's not a whole lot of minority representation in travel marketing. And when you go out and you market your trips, I'm sure you're looking for people who, are like you and are like the guests that you bring along with you. So have you also noticed that, there's not a whole lot out there?
Yeah, and I know, and I'm pretty sure we're probably in the same boat. As an Asian American, like when I go to look for things for like stock photos and things like that, it's very difficult to find, Black travelers or, pictures of, Black families. That's very hard to find as far as stock photos and stuff like that. So it's funny when I go on like FAMs or if I go to certain trade shows or things like that, if I can take personal pictures, I kind of hoard those to myself, like, I found these people, can I use this photo so I can save it for later? But yeah, it's a challenge. We as an industry need to definitely do better as far as representation for the type of faces that do travel.
Yeah, I agree. I actually just finished the Cunard Training Academy, and Cunard is a high-end cruise line, and when I was watching the online material, I noticed that there was an Asian couple that was eating dinner in the restaurant in the academy, and I was like, oh look, there's an Asian couple. And then I was immediately thinking, like, if I'm like actually thinking, oh look, with surprise there's an Asian couple, then that's something, something wrong with that, because there should be more minority representation, and also special needs people as well. I feel like I don't see any special needs people in the marketing, and they certainly love to travel as well.
Exactly. I totally agree.
Yeah. So so do you have any unique experiences or any stories that you have heard from other travelers or anybody in your group that you, or any other advisors that you have, any kind of stories that you want to share?
I think they all kind of revolve around the same experiences that I've had. Again, not the overt, no one's calling anyone N-words or, anything like that. It's just the microaggressions. It's the assumptions that you can't be there, that you shouldn't be in first class, or you don't know how to, eat this particular food, or, it's things like that. That's like, it's minor, and it is offensive. But there's some things that you kind of just, in order to not ruin your vacation, kind of just let it go and just keep moving.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really great that you are putting yourself out there, taking your groups with you, taking these ladies with you, seeing the world. I mean, really, what we do, one thing I love about travel, and I think we really need to do, is like get out there and be in these environments and be among people that we don't, but are not just like us, so that people can see us and that, know that we're friendly, outgoing, people that can afford to be there, that deserve to be there, just like everybody else.
Exactly. It's the assumptions more than anything. I think that if there was a way for us to tear those down so that, everyone's here to have a good time. So to not be judged by other travelers would be awesome.
Yeah. And so do you have any advice for your fellow travelers or for travel advisors?
For fellow travelers, I would say, and I hate to say this because it's such a cliche, but keep calm. Another experience that I had, and it wasn't a bad thing. It's more of it's actually kind of funny. I've gone to a couple places where I was actually one of the only, or a handful of Black faces in that crowd. And so I've come across other travelers from other countries who have never seen, Black people in person, amazingly. So you'll get people that, almost want to test you a little bit. So it's like, they want to touch your hair. They want to, feel your skin to see if things are different. And I just tell travelers, just be calm. Not everybody's there with a hateful or meanful agenda. And then in the cases where you can tell what people obviously are, still stay calm. You don't want to ruin your vacation because of someone else's ignorance.
Yeah, and your story about like touching your hair and stuff just reminded me, like on the flip side, I have a friend who brought her, I think 13-year-old daughter to Africa to actually work in a school with other school-age kids. And
Okay.
the school kids there were so amazed by her, light skin and her hair. I think they had never seen a girl their age with blonde hair, and they couldn't stop touching it
Okay.
and
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah.
doing all
Yeah.
this, stuff to it. And she was very
Yeah.
good natured. I think she just actually loved it that she was there with them, showing them that
Mhm.
she was, that they're all 13-year-old girls together. And I think that
Yeah.
really fosters understanding and, helps with the whole argument about, or the whole conversation about compassion and tolerance.
Right. Exactly. And I think curiosity is a good thing when it comes from a good place. So when people are genuinely curious, about, a different race or different culture, I think that's a good thing. As long as people are respectful of, people's space, personal space, and, their beliefs and the things that they believe in, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think asking questions from a curious standpoint and wanting to have a conversation about, your history and your background and your experiences is a really great thing. That's how we all kind of like, get to know each other better and really
Yeah.
realize that we're all more alike than we are different.
Yes, exactly. I agree 100%.
Well, thanks so much, Monique. I'm really appreciative that you took the time to talk to me, and it's been really fun to talk to you on Zoom.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Anytime.
Yeah, it's always fun to talk to you, and I just want to mention that you are a superstar with our travel
Oh
circle.
my
That you're part of my travel group, and I really enjoy following you. And so, good luck to you.
Awesome. Thank you. And back to you too. Rookie of the Year. Yes, yes. 2020.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Awesome.